Welcome to the Trustbound Podcast. What does another Trustbound Podcast episode mean? Well, another Trustbound Breakdown. And I've been thinking about Austin Walker's just amazing episode for a couple of days now. And honestly, it's not any single thing he said. It's just the shape of the entire story. Because Austin didn't talk about one relationship. He reverse engineered his whole life. Well, not his whole life, most of his life. From a high school business competition in Belt, Montana, a town that has about 80 students, all the way to this podcast. And of course our relationship today, and every single turn traced back through a chain of genuine connections. And that is very special. None of them were planned, but all of them are and were absolutely real. This episode is the most complete Trustbound story we've told so far. It hits principle 1, principle 2, principle 4, and principle 5. 4 principles in one 15-year waterfall. That's absolutely incredible. Austin's career is what I'm calling the waterfall effect. And it's that no single relationship created the trajectory. They all flowed into each other. From Decca to the Entrepreneurship Club, to Christina Henderson handing him, leadership, to Matt Roberge taking him fly fishing, to getting a job, to meeting Mark Roberge at Thanksgiving without necessarily knowing who Mark Roberge was, and then to Rick Roberge, the dad of the Roberges, of Matt and Mark, transforming his sales approach. And then to Elliot Bull introducing Junto to him, where we met, and then meeting me, and then the podcast, being a guest of the podcast, and over 15 years. None of it was planned. Austin wasn't thinking, hey, if I learn fly fishing with this guy, I'll eventually meet his brother who helped build HubSpot, and then I'll meet his dad who'll become a sales coach. It's absolutely insane. Nobody maps that. But when Austin did consistently, is he said yes. He showed up. He was curious about people, and he invested in every relationship for what it was in the moment. Not for what it might become later, but for what it was in the moment. The fly fishing story is principle 1 in its purest form. Matt Roberge didn't invite Austin to Rock Creek because he had a business motive. He invited him because he couldn't believe someone from Montana had never been fly fishing. Purely a human moment. No agenda. And that moment, curiously enough, built a trust foundation that years later, when COVID wiped out, unfortunately, Austin's agency, it led to Matt calling out of the blue with a job offer that, Austin didn't think about. That's the waterfall effect. Each genuine drop over time becomes a current, but only if every drop is real. And now principle 2. Austin introduced a practice that I think should be standard for anyone who takes their network seriously. The double opt-in introduction. So before he connects two people, He checks both sides. Hey, would this intro help you? Hey, can you actually help with this? If either say no, he doesn't make it. And if both say yes, he gives context to both so the conversation has a real starting point. That's principle two in practice, basically. Borrowed trust isn't just about making introductions, it's about making them responsibly. Every intro puts your reputation on the line. And I'll repeat that so that you guys listening in never forget that. Every reputation puts your, excuse me, I'm just thinking about the reputation so hard that I just screwed that up. Every intro, absolutely every intro you make puts your reputation on the line. The double opt in protects it. Austin even adds personal details. Hey, he's a Packers fan. That's something human. That's something that makes the first moment feel like two people connecting, not two LinkedIn profiles transacting. And, with principle four, every single person in Austin's 15-year chain elevated themselves by making the next connection. Christina recommended Austin to the Entrepreneurship Club and became more valuable to the university. Matt connected Austin to a job and became more than a fly fishing buddy. He became a career ally. Rick coached Austin and became a foundational influence. Elliot introduced Junto and expanded his own network. That's principle four, running silently through the entire story. Each referrer gained position by making the connection, not because they planned to, but because that's how trust capital works. So again, protect it. And now principle five, which again is signal over noise, Austin brought up something Mark Cuban said that I think is very important to where all of this is going. Cuban's argument is that AI is going to automate most of the transactional touch points in business. Cold outreach and then follow up sequences, personalization at scale, all of it. And we're already seeing a lot of this, right? And Cuban's conclusion was, you know, when everything gets automated, the things that can't be automated become the most valuable. And what is that? Well, the human connection. You can't automate that. Real conversations. You can't automate that. Emotion. You can't automate that. And most importantly, trust. Trust, trust, trust. You cannot automate trust. So that's principle five projected forward. The noise is only going to get louder. When we think that things cannot get worse, or more saturated, more messages, more stuff, we're proving we're proven wrong. Everything gets more saturated. The noise is going to get louder. AI will generate more emails, more sequences, more personalized outreach than ever before. And in that world, the thing that cuts through won't be a better algorithm. It'll be a person you trust saying, take the meeting, take the call, meet this person, call this company. Austin's story from Belt, Montana to this podcast is a 15-year waterfall. It started with saying yes to a conversation without knowing where it would lead. That's Trustbound. Four principles in 15 years of one life. And we're just getting started. If this resonated,
Pay attention to where trust has already been doing the work for you. That's where momentum starts. Learn more at itoguide.com. See you next time. I'm Mauricio Suarez, and this is the Trustbound Podcast.